It is about to start raining money for Tesla, and it's not just because there is a price target increase. No, it's because one of the presidential candidates said that he will put a 100% tariff on every car coming into the US across the Mexican border if he wins the presidential election. How many cars does Tesla make in Mexico? 0. How many cars does the competition make in Mexico and then send these cars to the US? A lot of cars. For example, 47% of Ford's EV sales in the US were from vehicles manufactured in Mexico and then imported, and for GM, this figure was 35%. These are big numbers. So all of that would basically just disappear overnight if this came true. Currently, every Tesla sold in the US is made in the US, so it would be raining money for Tesla. So it's getting heated so much that I had to take off my jacket. But Elon Musk talked about Tesla's Giga Mexico, and we need to think about what would happen to that. And obviously, probably there would be no cars imported for Tesla from Mexico, but that I don't see as a major issue. Elon before said we are currently paused about the Giga Mexico factory. We need to see how things stand after the election. We are increasing capacity at our existing factories significantly. I have a suspicion that Elon Musk actually maybe communicated with the former president, and maybe he suspected that there would be a huge, massive tariff enacted if the former president was elected again. And maybe that was actually one of the biggest reasons for Tesla not to do anything with Giga Mexico, which if the former president is elected, this is going to turn out to be a great decision. The former president specifically said the only way they will get rid of that tariff is if they want to build a plant right here in the US with you people operating that plant. But actually, even if he is elected, it's not all that straightforward for him to just go ahead and put 100% tariff on all of these cars, because he personally signed this USA-Mexico-Canada agreement in January of 2020, which prohibits the leverage of tariffs on a range of goods. So if he actually wanted to put these tariffs on all of these cars, he would need to repeal the agreement, but that would actually require action from Congress. So he must be confident that he would have full support from Congress, but anything can change there. However, his party currently does have control of the Congress, but there's also the Senate, which is not as guaranteed in this case. Overall, I take this statement from the president very seriously, and I think there is a decent chance that he would actually make it happen if he was elected again. Maybe it wouldn't be a 100% tariff, maybe it would just be a 25%, 35%, 50%, but I think there's a good chance that there would be some sort of additional tariff. Now, what's going on with this price increase from Piper Sandler? And by the way, historically, Piper Sandler has made some great calls about Tesla stock. It's a rather small price target increase, it's just an increase of $10, but they have a decent reason behind it. According to them, it is because of increased 2024 delivery estimates. They expect 459,000 deliveries for Q3 now and 1.75 million units for the whole year. Now, 459,000, I believe that's actually below the consensus. They say that Q3 seems likely to be Tesla's best quarter ever, and that is very likely. And although European sales are weak, Cybertruck deliveries are supporting demand in the US, the analysts told the investors. Here's a chart showing Tesla sales in Europe, but the sales in China are strong. If you look at the latest number, it actually doesn't seem overwhelmingly great. It's 14,300, but you have to remember that in China, they had a holiday just now. The Moon Festival is massive in China, and I have a lot of family in Asia, and they celebrate this hard. Also, if you look here, it's different. Every single year, the date is different. So you can't even really compare the same week in the previous year to this year's same week. The previous year, the festival happened in the last week of September. And as you can see, the numbers then really dropped. But this time, they only dropped a little bit. So I'm pretty happy with what's happening, but it doesn't end here. If you look at the Model 3 sales, they are good. And not only that, the Xiaomi SG7 is not beating the Model 3. There was so much hype about this car, and that car is actually still selling pretty well, but the Model 3 is selling better than ever, actually, if you look at the chart. That's if you are speaking about the refresh Model 3. Overall, I'm very happy with China right now, and on X, every bull is basically celebrating the high sales. And if you have another strong week in China next week, we might see another price target increase. James is pretty good at estimating deliveries, and he believes that Q3 will also be really good for deliveries. And James actually has a pretty good point here. The demand for Model Y is so hot right now in China that it really takes pressure off Tesla to launch the refresh. This may suggest that it will only launch in Q1 of 2025, which would take it off the Model 3 Highland timeline. We haven't heard of any planned downtime in Shanghai either. They are probably going to keep pushing production as hard and fast as possible as long as this demand keeps pace. So looking at what's happening in China right now, I think James is totally right here. And Tesla is actually doing really well in Sweden right now. And technically, I think the strikes are still ongoing over there, but the sales just keep flowing. There hasn't been any news about it lately. That's why we haven't heard anything about it. But the fight against Tesla in Sweden still continues. And in Norway now, 1 in every 5 new car owners purchases a Tesla. Another really positive thing happened in Norway for EVs, and that is EVs now outnumber gas-powered vehicles in Norway. I'm not talking just about new car sales. I'm talking about, even if you had 100% of new sales in the US that were just pure BEVs, it would still take quite a few years for BEVs to exceed the gas-powered cars in number. That's what I'm talking about. There are now more EVs in Norway than gas-powered cars. And that just happened for the first time. And we will see this happening all over the place in the coming years. I also wonder, when will we see the Cybertruck in Europe? Anyway, Cybertruck owners are getting an auto park feature for the Cybertrucks. Currently, there is a new wave of that rolling out to everyone. And you can see this feature here in action. I would like it to be faster, so it's definitely not perfect. It's a bit slow. But hey, look, it works, and it's only going to get better from here. Eventually, Cybertruck parking is going to look like this. This version is sped up. It's going to take a little while to get to this sort of performance, but eventually I think it is doable. Ray also tried it, and he personally thinks that it performs better than many human drivers in terms of speed and accuracy, considering it's the first release edition, and this is a big vehicle. You have to remember that Cybertrucks are massive. This is quite something. Autopark has completely erased any anxious feelings I had when driving the Cybertruck. Now, when people stare at me while I'm parking, I just wave both of my hands at them and enjoy their facial expressions. I would strongly suggest against doing that. Make sure to keep your eyes on the vehicle being parked. It's still obviously not a perfect feature, and using auto park in my regular Model 3, I had some mixed experiences with it. It often works fine, but a few times it caused me to disengage because the car I thought was maybe going to either park super close to the wall, or maybe there would have been a scratch. I'm not sure. I think it would have been fine, but it was way too close for comfort. But my main problem with auto park was that the car would be parking and then it would just restart, and it would try to do that a few times, and then people would be staring at me. I had a honk one time, so after that, if it tries to park again after the first time, I just do it myself, and I don't use that feature myself because I can park much faster. But eventually that's not going to be true anymore, and it will make much more sense to just press a button and the car will just park for you faster and safer than you ever could. But that day is not here yet. In the meantime, we have 12.5.4 going into the wild. This is a pretty big wave. It has longer distance, actually smart summon support, and sunglasses eye tracking, so you should be able to wear sunglasses and have no nag. So this account looks at everyone giving feedback about FSD, and then it compiles everyone's feedback into this one easy to view post. And the feedback from this person, wow. I now understand why no one has anything negative to say. This feels like at least a 5 to 10x improvement over FSD 12.5.2 for me, and it feels 3 to 5 times better than the initial FSD 12.5. What? I'm going to stay loyal to this version for a long time. To all the OGs and influencers out there, no matter how hard your future videos try to convince me, I'm not going to update to a different version. I love this one and I'm sticking with it. Okay, well, out of 205 posts mentioning this version, only 75 have actually used it. Among those, 50 55 are positive, so 73%, and 20 are neutral or mixed, and none are purely negative, which is something new. So far, no one who has used 12.5.4 has expressed a completely negative opinion, which was definitely not true with 12.5.2. There were some really negative reviews. As some more time passes by, I expect to see at least a few negative reviews, and there is a newer post now with more people in the analysis. So the positive number is now at 72.6%. The neutral number is at 22%. And there are a few negative reviews, but that's only 5.1%. So that's a substantial improvement from the previous analysis, which I shared in the earlier video. So based on what I'm seeing from these posts, did Tesla deliver on this promise to improve the miles between necessary interventions by 3 times? Possibly. Before this release, I was quite skeptical, but this release might prove otherwise. So the initial feedback is really good, but I think at this point, it now takes a week or 2 or 3 to really know and understand, is the new version just does it just feel better, or is it actually also much better in terms of critical disengagements? Omar, of course, took this version out for a drive and he had 0 interventions during the night. As I was looking through all of these FSD posts, I also saw this. Do you think they will date? And Elon Musk actually personally commented on this. This is the Prime Minister of Italy, and they're looking at each other, or should I rather say she's looking at Elon Musk in this romantic way, but Elon Musk is saying that we are not dating. I mean, look at this photo. It's not the first time we are seeing that, by the way. Also, Elon Musk has said that his companies are actually looking for ways to invest in and support Argentina. So Tesla is maybe looking to expand into Argentina as well. I really doubt that Tesla would build a factory there, although you never fully know, but I really doubt it. And here's some really good footage from AI driver. This is FSD v12.5.4, which reacted to a texting driver drifting into AI driver's lane. As you can see right here, the car is getting into his lane. FSD slows down and lets the car sort of get into his lane. And I like this. This got 100 million views. Wow, this has to be one of the most viewed posts about Tesla. And this is because Elon Musk reposted it. And he said, your Tesla can now drive itself through complex parking lots to find you. You can also fart to say hi when it reaches to you. But yeah, this new and improved Ashley Smart 7 makes Costco look easy. And AI driver, I have never really notice him overhype FSD. I think it's not overhyped, and neither does he underestimate FSD. He just sort of tells you exactly how it is right now. So this is quite encouraging to see. I'll speed it up a little bit for all of you guys so you can see how it works in action without any interruptions. But there were people that said, is that car driving away? Yes, it is. It absolutely is. And only Teslas can do this. No other car right now has a feature like this. Only Teslas can do that in any parking lot in the US.
What did they sell? What else? Is that car driving away?
Gary Black made a few posts, and basically he's saying that Tesla stock right now is reminding him of Tesla stock in 2019. You know, the time before Tesla stock went 10 times higher. FSD doesn't really excite Gary Black all that much, and that I believe is a massive mistake. But what does excite him is the $25,000 to $30,000 Tesla Compact because of what happened in 2019, 2020. The Tesla Compact may or may not be unveiled on October 10th, but if it is, that's more a reason to buy Tesla stock. In 2019, Tesla launched Model Y amid high skepticism by shorts who never really understood that Tesla Model Y ushered in a whole new TAM by vaulting Tesla into the fast-growing CUV category. So this new Tesla Compact will allow Tesla to leverage its brand, higher range, superior tech, and better performance in the large compact category, where Toyota Corolla is currently #1 and #2 overall after Tesla Model Y. Similar to 2019 and 2020, Tesla shorts cannot understand this, and they don't even, I think, want to understand that. Because of the increased TAM, the total addressable market, it will actually increase sales overall because these vehicles compete in completely different categories. James made some points, and I actually disagree with him here. FSD should not be judged by how well it can drive without an intervention for 100 to 200 miles. It is irrelevant. It should be judged by how much it is improving and how fast it will improve. Okay, so I agree with how we should judge it, but I disagree with his assessment. The evidence suggests not much to the first question and not very to the second. Obviously, it has improved relative to the version of FSD from, say, last year, but looking at it in relative terms, going from 5 miles to a critical disengagement to 200 miles to a critical disengagement is not significant. Wait, what? It's not significant? Divide 200 by 5. What's the number you're gonna get? It's 40. And he says this 200 mile to a critical disengagement number is not significant because the goal is 10,000. Okay, so you take 10,000 miles, you divide that by 200, and you will get 50 times. So we need to improve by 50 times. Going from 5 to 200, that was an improvement of 40 times. So basically, we just need to do exactly what we have done again, just a little bit better. So if James does not see this as rapidly approaching the goal, he must not be thinking exponentially. But he says he is thinking exponentially, but he says it will be exponentially harder to go from 200 to 400 and exponentially harder to go from 400 to 800. And again, at least 3 more times, which is what is needed for unsupervised FSD. But one thing that James is missing from this calculation is that you will get a lot more people actually using FSD. A year ago, for my friends, it was basically completely unusable. It was more something that you use if you're just enthusiastic about tech. I'm talking about city driving. Highways, okay, yeah, sure. But city driving a year ago, my friends didn't use it, but I actually use it. And if I was going through areas that I was familiar with and I knew when it was going to disengage, I would actually use it. But now, if I'm driving my Tesla in a place I have never been to, and if I want to be extra careful and if I want to improve the comfort of my drive, I actually turn FSD on with a few minor exceptions. So what's going to happen now is you're going to have a lot more people actually driving on FSD and collecting data for Tesla, whereas before, only the people that were extremely enthusiastic about FSD were actually driving on FSD because it was quite a bit to put up with. You can just look at Omar's drives from, let's say, 2 years ago, and you will see so many annoying moments. You can also see my reactions on my channel to his videos, and a lot of them were not good. Also, the better FSD is, the more Tesla will sell. It will become an advertising tool for Tesla, basically, that will just sell Teslas by itself. So I don't fully buy this argument that the better FSD is, it will get definitely exponentially harder for Tesla to solve FSD because it will be, at least to some degree, offset by having more people use FSD every single day. Also, this automotive research firm, AMCI, tested Tesla's FSD and they drove 1,000 miles. And for safe operation, they say that they had to intervene 75 times, so on average once every 13 miles. They did this test on 12.5.1 and 12.5.3, but the newer version seems to be better, so I would be curious to see if they could redo this test again, but with 12.5.4. They use a Model 3 performance with hardware 4, and they drove on the assertive mode, and they also published some of their footage from the drives as well. Let's go through some of the expectations for the October 10th event. Robotaxi concept reveal, I definitely expect that. App demo, I also expect that. Some cool video showing Ashley Smart Summon, definitely I expect that. Minor updates in terms of intervention rate progress to date, I would expect something. Functional robotaxi, maybe within that closed area, I would expect a demo like that, certainly. Timeline to reach unsupervised driving, I would expect Elon Musk to say, end of next year. Comment on what they will do with hardware 3 cars. James doesn't expect that. Some people expect an affordable model unveil, but I personally don't expect that. I think Tesla would unveil a new model just basically last second is my expectation. Tesla is going to return to the Paris Auto Show, which actually gets over 1 people to attend it every year. Tesla will showcased all of its vehicles over there, including the Cybertruck. Check this out. This has now been basically confirmed. Earlier, I talked about Tesla entering the Philippines market, and now we are seeing Tesla building its first store in the Philippines. There are still a few small markets, relatively speaking, for Tesla to enter, and a few of these will add up to a few more deliveries, so this is good news. This is just disappointing. Here's the head of the FAA answering the question on if delaying SpaceX's Starship Flight 5 launch is in the best interest of the public. He basically said yes, to summarize it. And then SpaceX responded with this. Every statement he made was incorrect. Every single one. Wow, this is pretty strong. It is deeply concerning that the administrator does not appear to have accurate information immediately available to him with respect to SpaceX licensing matters. I'm definitely rooting for SpaceX here. Oh, and Elon actually posted this to his main timeline, so the regulators are definitely feeling the heat. America is being smothered by legions of regulators, often inept and politically driven. FAA administrator made several incorrect statements today regarding SpaceX. In fact, every statement he made was incorrect. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will probably be back on Friday. By joining Patreon, you will have access to all of my exclusive videos on Patreon, as well as how much I am willing to pay for each Tesla share between 2024 and 2033. If you join the investor tier, you will also have access to my valuation model, where you will see all of my assumptions, including deliveries, the energy business, Tesla's future businesses like FSD, and of course much more. And then if you want to easily download that and put in your own numbers, then this third tier is for you. To all of my Patreon supporters, thank you so much. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't yet as well. It's really important to like the videos because that makes it less likely that the channel will be shadow banned later, like my other big channel got shadow banned before from about 50% of my regular viewers. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.